Hello, hello, hello. This is Dr. Troy.
And I'm Ben-Jamin Toy.
We're broadcasting from the Cohesion Culture headquarters in beautiful Charleston, South Carolina, where even when it rains, the sun still shines.
You're going to hear real-time stories from leaders confessing their most crucial or recent experiences in business.
Learn what their cost them, steps they took to fix it, and how they planned
to not do that one again. All right, cohesive leaders, Ben-Jamin Toy with you, and I am joined today with Donzel Leggett in Florida. So excited to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Ben-Jamin. I love that name, man. I forgot to ask you about that when we first got to know each other. It's really cool. Happy to be here, and I love that music too. I was jamming Ben-Jamin. Heck
yeah, for a long time, right? Every Ben-Jamin has been called Ben-Jamin. I just take advantage of it. So,
all right,
fun part there. All right, Donzel. We love to start off asking everybody to get to know you, our audience, getting to know you. Share something with the listeners that would not be on your resume, your About Us portfolio, the back of a book. What's a hobby, interest, something that you have?
I love to write and I love to learn. I spend a lot of time in the past trying to learn second and third languages, even languages that are difficult to learn, trying to pronounce the languages correctly, trying to learn the history behind language. I traveled a lot during my career around the world, and I tried to learn as much as I could about every country's history when I went to those countries, and tried to go to places that were off the beaten path of normal tourists. And it was funny because a lot of places I would go, a lot of my colleagues there would be shocked that I would ask to go to these places or ask them about certain things about their country's history. And a lot of times they tell me, geez, I've never been there, or I didn't even know that. And so it's a fun thing to do, especially, in this day and age when everyone's just trying to find out the next, trending topic or what's the newest thing. I mean, there's so much information we have at our fingertips now. All the information that's ever been amassed in the world is at our fingertips.
Yep.
Do your own research and learn as much as you can. That's what I like to do.
I absolutely love that. And when I travel and you're in a touristy area, I want to walk to where they don't care I'm there anymore.
Yes.
And, restaurant, trying to get you in. I'm like, no, where do you eat? And that's where I want to go. So love that. Love that. Awesome. All right. Next question, which is a different one for most folks. We want to know who you are. What is your identity? What are character traits, behavior skills that you would either describe yourself as, you would help friends and family would describe you as, whether you're in the room or not, or things you're aspiring to do. Here, don't talk about roles, professions, hats you wear, but who you are as a person. That's what we want to know. Those descriptive words.
Authentic, first and foremost. People that know me, if you ask them about me, one of the first things they'll tell you is that I am authentic. I don't try to be someone that I'm not. My perspective, my feelings, pretty much I wear on my sleeve. I'm not an actor. I'm not trying to put on a performance. I want you to get to know me right away and know where I'm coming from, so you don't have to guess. So that's the first thing that they'll tell you. Secondly, I'm a positive person who believes in people. My role, I believe, is to help people achieve their destiny, be the best that they can be. People that know me and that are around me know that I've got their back, know that I'm going to support them. They'll also tell you that I'm a guy who is willing to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes and own up to those mistakes. And also tell you that I'm willing to be vulnerable, which is interesting because I'm a big guy. So my first impression I give people is big, strong guy, lots of confidence. But I'm willing to be vulnerable. I'm willing to share things, mistakes I've made, which I know this show is all about. And so vulnerability is something I welcome, because I believe it's the only way I can get better, is to allow my weaknesses to show so I can get feedback and work on them.
So question for you, and I recently just learned this through my own journey, actually through counseling, that there's a difference between transparency and vulnerability. Transparency is giving the details of the bad thing that happened or the situations or whatnot, but vulnerability is tying in the emotions that you had during that. Would you say you're still vulnerable in those scenarios, or do you give of those emotions to people as well?
I would definitely say that I'm vulnerable. There I am a number of times that I've shared very personal stories, and I've made very personal connections. People have seen me cry on multiple occasions, and it's not tears of sadness; it's tears of just raw emotion and letting my feelings come through. And again, allowing when I talk vulnerability, it's people seeing where your weaknesses are, where you fail, and then not trying to hide that, and allowing, again, because I'm authentic, it's difficult for me to hide anyway. It's not something I would do. So emotions, again, is probably another word I should have used earlier. People, I think I did when I said you know me, you can read me pretty quickly. My emotions are going to flow. People are going to see them and they're going to feel them, and that's what allows people to feel trust in me, because they know that I'm not someone who's trying to trick them. I'm someone that they can count on because my emotions are on my sleeve.
Exaggerated microaggressions when someone says something. Oh, like I can't hide my initial reaction on that one. That's good.
No.
Right. So now we got to know who you are, and because that's what people remember, years later. They don't remember always the things you did or the roles you played. So now let's talk about your journey, corporate journey, or what you do now. What are the hats you wear, family, things like that. Share what you want to share as far as roles go.
Yeah, well, I'll start off just with family. So I've been married for almost 31 years. We raised 4 young adults that range from 32, 27, 30. I forgot that one, and 30, 27, and 24. And originally from Florida. I'm in Florida today, but I've lived in the Midwest for a number of years. And then I've gotten to travel the world. I had a 32-year career at corporate America, and worked in Fortune 200 companies. The last 16 years, I led international supply chain for a large organization, again, which allowed me to travel the world. But started in manufacturing at manufacturing plants, worked my way up through middle management into the corporate arena, and was able to have a very successful career there. But I did had a plan that I stuck to. I wanted to retire early and get on to other things. I retired in June of last year. And started a new company called Destin Development Delta, which is a consulting company that focuses on executive leadership development, helping people make their destinies happen. I have a book coming out August 26th called Make Your Destiny Happen. But the biggest thing for me is right now ensuring I'm making a positive impact on those around me. Not only my family, but others, that I come in contact with, as many people as I can. I just feel like the world right now is a place where people feel, not everyone, but a lot of people feel small. A lot of people feel, what's the point? Can I ever achieve what I want? There's some kind of a maze of disappointment, overwhelming. And what I'm trying to do is help people see that even in this world that feels chaotic, I can make a positive impact on your life and help you move forward and achieve what you want. So that's kind of what I'm all about right now.
That's great. That's great. It's a good insight into who you are. Then that's in both areas, and what a great aspiration to retire early and then be on to other things. And would you say that the work you did prior though was life giving, or was it something you just needed to get done so you can go on to the things that you felt were you're more passionate about?
I feel it was life-giving. It helped a lot of people. I came into contact with over 10,000 people in my career. I mean, like intimate contact, connections with people. I spent, close to 100,000 hours, I would say, working directly with people across my career, both inside the company and outside the company. When you work for a big company, you get a chance to spend a lot of time volunteering and impacting the community. But just, lessons like working directly with our teams in Brazil. And a lot of our team members, lived in favelas, did not have a lot, and did not have a lot of, thought process in terms of where their careers could go. Touching base and working with each one of them, providing them with the inspiration of what they could do, where they could go, how I could help them navigate their careers, to see a brighter path. I could say the same thing of the impact I had in China, the impact I had in Greece, the impact I had in France, the impact I had in Mexico, and in the United States, in places that are kind of rural places in southern Ohio and in Missouri, all the way on the coast as well, and in Canada as well. I mean, so there's a lot of people that I've been able to work directly with who, again, weren't sure how far they could go or didn't have the idea of how to balance their lives to have also personal well-being. And I've had an impact on them to help them achieve some of those things. And that's why I know I can do that because I've done it. And I just want to see if I can spread that across outside of the corporate environment as well.
That's awesome. Well, what that we just experienced was connections before content. So we spent the time to connect with each other, and the audience knows you a lot better. So now, what is the experience that you're willing to share to our audience? And our audience is, for the most part, emerging leaders, maybe first job, or folks that are looking to advance in their career. So we're going to help teach them or have them learn from the mistakes of others. And you had a good corporate career, so this is going to be a great one.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of lessons that I can share, personal lessons of mistakes. One of them that is very personal to me is the mistake of striving for success without taking into account that success without balance in your life, without personal well-being in your life, is an empty success that will collapse upon itself at some point. And for me, that learning happened pretty early in my career. I was only a couple years into my career. I was an engineer at the time, but there was a manager in this. I worked in a large food, actually, it was one of the largest food companies in the world, and I worked at that time was the largest food manufacturing plant in the world. I was an engineer, and I was doing a lot of things. You heard what I said a lot. I like to help people. So I got to know a lot of people, and I was helping them make their jobs easier. The manager left abruptly. I was very young in my career, and unbeknownst to me, the employees there decided to start a movement to make me the manager. I had not applied. I didn't want to be the manager. I like being an engineer, but they basically went to the union president, told the union president to go to the plant manager and make me the manager, because they said I was the only one that cared about them and cared about them as individuals and wanted to make the plant better. So long story short, I get the job, even though I didn't want it, but I get the job. And of course, at that point, I felt an immense amount of pressure, positive pressure, but pressure from the people that they would do that to get me that role when I wasn't even looking for it. I couldn't let them down, but I also was pressuring myself in the standpoint that, okay, if I'm going to make this move to management, I want to be the very best that there is. I want to make sure that I'm not just letting these people down and showing them that they made the right decision, but I want to do it in a way that improves the morale in our organization. They feel supported, and we get better results than anyone else. So what did I do? I started working like 16-hour days, like 7 days a week. I mean, we were a manufacturing plant, so we were running on the weekends. So I was there on the weekends, there during the week, 16-hour days. That wasn't enough. Then I decided that I need to get better in terms of my business acumen, because I was an engineer. So I said, I better go get my MBA. So I started going to school full time to get my MBA as well. And so that was great in terms of prioritizing, getting up to speed in that job, proving to everyone they made the right decision, leading the group to make to make the results turn around immediately, and prepare myself to be an executive by getting an MBA. As time went on, I wasn't noticing that I was over prioritizing all of that stuff, under prioritizing my own personal well-being. I wasn't exercising. I wasn't eating right. I wasn't sleeping right. I wasn't doing any of those things, but I was so focused on getting promoted and getting those results and impressing the people. And it took me, I was there for another 6 months. We turned the entire business around, made our financial plan. We had not done that in 5 years. I think we turned the business around by $2 million. I mean, it was an incredible turnaround. Then I got recruited out went to another company and went into a similar situation, turned their results around. And after about a year and a half, I got my MBA and all of that. I discovered that I had gained about 115 pounds. Now, I was already a big guy. I mean, I'm 6'5". Normally, back when I got that job, I was walking around at about 225 pounds, something like that. So I was up to 330, between 320 and 330, somewhere in that range. Didn't notice it. But just to put in perspective, losing view of the balance in your life, to not notice that you gained 100 pounds. I thought I gained maybe
a human. Yeah.
I thought I gained 60 pounds. Okay, 60 pounds. Yeah, that's not so bad. I thought I was like maybe 40 pounds. I thought it was like 260, 265. And it wasn't until my parents had come up for a visit, I took them to a museum, and this museum had a scale in the floor. Again, I'm in manufacturing, so there was like a big industrial museum that had a floor scale. And I remember my mom got on it and it said her weight, and my wife got on it and said her weight. My dad got on it, said his weight. I got on it. And I'm like, the scales doesn't work. And they said, yeah, but it worked for us. I said, yeah, but I'm 260. This says I'm 320 or something like that. Scale was right. And long story short, I had basically gained all this weight. I went to the doctor. My blood pressure was high. Actually, the company that was bringing me in, they actually put a hold on my hiring for a while because they wanted me to go through additional physical checks. And I was 27, so I was 26, 20. I was young, but I was 100 and some pounds overweight. My blood pressure was high, borderline issues on other things on the health standpoint as well. And even after that, I still didn't take that into consideration. It wasn't enough to force me to change my behaviors because, again, I changed companies. So what do I want to do now? I want to, again, prove this company made the right decision. I want to quickly prove I'm the best. I want to quickly prove that I can get results and I can also make people happy and feel part of the team. I did all that, but my health things did not get better. It really wasn't until my wife was pregnant with our third child that kind of a reckoning happened, where I remember looking at my wife, looking at myself, realizing I had two little kids already. This third kid was coming. And I remember asking myself, I was chasing around my son and my younger daughter, and I was winded. And I thought to myself, okay, if I'm 28, 29 years old now, no matter how successful I am so far early in my career, am I going to be around to enjoy this with my kids? And even if I am, can I keep up with them? That was the wake-up call that I needed. It made me really think back and say, looking at my life plan and saying, okay, I'm on track from a career standpoint. But again, doesn't really matter if I don't have balance in my life, if I don't feel good. And I wasn't feeling great. I mean, I knew I was getting great results, but I wasn't feeling great because I was overweight and I was not feeling myself. I was, not as sharp as I could be. And so I decided to make a pact with myself. And my wife, I think, was 3 months pregnant at the time. And I said, in 6 months before this next baby's born, I'm going to lose 60 pounds. I'm going to lose 10 pounds a month.
So before we get into the how you fixed all this stuff.
Okay,
all
right. Sorry.
I want to go into now. You did this. What was the cost? What was the cost? Was there a physical cost at anything? Where was the mental, the energy? Like, what was there's a cost. There's something happened here. What price did you pay for this auto?
Well, I talked a little bit about some of it in terms of, thinking I'm really healthy. And when I take the physical to join this new company, the doctors flagged that my blood pressure was high. I had borderline hypertension was his perspective. He said that my knees were arthritic, which they were. He warned that if I continued at this weight gain, I was going to kind of be a risk to the company. So the company, it took another week to make a decision. They ended up hiring me anyway, but that was the first kind of warning in cost, if you will. But the big cost really was I wasn't feeling as good as I used to. And I'll give you some examples. Before, like I said, I was working these 16-hour days. I was still doing that, but now I was just, as soon as I got home, I was just beat. All I could do was eat and go to sleep. So I wasn't interacting with my kids, wasn't really doing a whole lot with my wife. I was just work and sleep. And even at work, I wasn't as sharp as I had been. I had to really put in more time to think, so it made me work harder because I wasn't as sharp as I had been when I was, feeling better. So that was a cost. And then the other cost to me was, again, I mentioned I couldn't keep up with my kids. And I remember, that when I thought about having kids, I wanted to be able to do things with them, play with them, train with them, coach them, and all these things. I couldn't do it. My knees were bothering me; they were hurting a lot. That was another cost. Like I said, I was getting winded. My clothes didn't fit. I mean, it was just a myriad of issues that I was paying the price on. But I was kind of brainwashed to all of that stuff because I was so singularly focused on career.
So what about
it wasn't really until that I had that wake up call that I realized all of these things were cost to me that I needed to change.
Was there any impact to the self-image side of this? So those are the physical things you learned and whatnot, but did it change internally? Like some people, that weight gain and that not being able to have the energy really affect them. So was there any effect to you in that way?
Yeah, and this is always important to state that every individual is different. Every body type is different. So I've got friends that are really big and they're healthy. That's their natural weight. They feel good at that. So for me, I'm kind of tall. It really wasn't until I realized that my clothes weren't fitting correctly and I was limited to certain clothes. One of the things I remember is I would always wear a jacket when I gained a lot of weight because it kind of hid the weight. It hid the weight gain. And even in the summer, I still wear the jacket. So that was kind of an image thing that I didn't recognize at the time when I was doing it until the wake up call kind of happened. So that was, but it is important to remember that I just want everyone to hear this, that don't try to judge yourself by someone else. So that's not, one thing I didn't do is look at other people and say, oh, I should look like them. No, it was all about me and what made me feel good and what made me feel great. And I didn't like the way my clothes, didn't have clothes that fit. I had to wear sweats. I had to wear this jacket all the time. My knees were hurting. And so it was that image of myself of not being able to keep up, not being able to do things with my kids and seeing into the future, this was only going to get worse. That's kind of how it was for me.
Interesting. Okay. So the next question is normally two questions, but I'm going to bring it all together because I think most likely as you explain this, they'll be put together. One is, how'd you stop it? What was the change, right? What was the remedy? But then also how you made it so you don't do that one again. So like this is probably going to be the packed piece, right? So lump those all into it. Like what was the correction that you had to make?
Yeah. So one thing I didn't mention is I developed a life plan when I was like 22, 23 years old. And the life plan focused on about 40 years in the future, 40, 45 years in the future, what I want to do from a career and family standpoint. So my wife at the time, she was my girlfriend at the time, we sat down and I reviewed it with her and said, hey, what do you think? What do you want to do? What's your life plan? We're going to come together as a family, how we're going to make this work. And so I built this plan in an integrated career and family. So I had a wake up call again when she was pregnant with our third child, and I went back to our life plan and realized that I was blowing it away on the career side, but I was failing on the family side. That was really what jumped out at me and really made me realize, okay, this is not what I said I wanted to do. What I said I wanted to do was have a successful life. And a life for me is not just career, it's balance in my life, because that's where personal well-being and happiness comes from. It's having balance. And so I realized I was shortchanging. And I said to myself, I've got to get back to that pact that I made with this plan and balance out my life. And that's when me and my wife talked, and I said, hey, I'm going to make some changes. I need your help. But in the next 6 months, while you're, going through the phases of getting ready to have our third child, I'm going to lose 10 pounds a month. I'm going to lose 60 pounds. And the changes that I said we would make is, number one, it was very simple. I was overeating, I was overworking, and I was not exercising. And that's what it came down to. I had to fix some of those. So overeating was basically, okay, I'm going to take healthy breakfast, basically just a cup of yogurt. At lunch, at that time, I was going out to lunch every day, and I'd eat a whole pizza every day for lunch. It was the group of us, like my engineers would go. This is when I became the manager. They go, we talk about business. I eat a whole pizza, no more of that. I'll bring celery and carrots, and I'll just eat that. And then dinner, literally every night, I would eat 2 full plates of dinner, 2 helpings every night plus dessert. So I said, okay, I'll just go to 1. So I'm not going to starve myself. I'm just going to go to 1. So that was that. The other side was overwork. That I couldn't quite get out of that at that time because I just joined this new company and I needed to be there to generate the results. Now, I'll get into later that I was able to modify some things once I was able to get my energy back. But I said, you know what? I have to keep those hours. So how I'm going to exercise them. If I'm going to still spend time with my kids and my wife, and I got to keep working, what am I going to do? So I said, all right, we got to start going to bed a little bit earlier because I'm going to get up every morning at 5 and I'm going to work out. And that's what I did. So I got up every morning at 5, worked out, was still able to get to the plant and spend the amount of time I needed to. I made the changes in my eating habits. So then those are the changes that I made. And I don't know if you want me to get into then what happened going forward. But,
go with it. Yep.
The pact was really going back to my life plan and realizing I had gone off center. I had not lived up to what I said I was going to do, and I needed to get back and make those changes and live a better lifestyle. And then once I started doing that, I started losing the weight. And what ended up happening was I ended up losing 100 pounds in 6 months. So I got all the way down to, I think, 215. But this is where, again, it's all based on how you feel. If you look at the BMI chart for my height, I should be like 190. Yeah, I mean, like 190. At 215, I felt like a skeleton. I felt like, it didn't feel like me. It didn't look like me. I said, no, this is too. So I gained 10 pounds back. And I said, hey, I need to be in the 225, 230 range. That's what feels good to me. Yep. And that's what feels healthy to me. People were telling me they thought I had cancer. They thought something was wrong with me. But, so I gained the weight back, about 10 pounds, and I felt great. But here's the key thing that happened. And I think this is important for all the managers who are working their career to understand. Because now I had all the energy that I had lost before, and I was needing to work all these extra hours, now I was able to cut back on my hours because I was much fresher and much sharper. I was able to be more focused. Before, I didn't have the focus that I needed. And so I couldn't get as much done in the time frame I needed. So instead of working 16 hours a day, I was able to work 10 hours a day and actually get more done and feel better. I was sharper. I was smarter. I had more focus. I was able to be more disciplined, all because I recentered myself, rebalanced myself, and was able to get the personal well-being that I needed. And then from that point on, I stuck to those principles and kept reminding myself, this is what the life plan you had. It was to have a balanced life, family, and career, get to a point where you're 55, which I did last year, retire, and then have a second career. The only way to do that is you got to stay centered. You got to stay healthy. And so literally today, before this podcast, I was out doing a 5-mile walk in 90-degree heat because I got to stay centered, man.
Heck yeah, man. Oh, I love that. And it's such a timely thing as we can easily get, and we have a society, and I have adult ADHD and I get hyper-focused on things. We can easily get focused and into things. But this reminds me of the Abraham Lincoln quote of, if I'm given 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'm going to spend the first 4 hours sharpening my axe. By you saying you had the energy and you focused on these other things, you got to be more productive with it. You got more out of the time you did. And absolutely. That's for the listeners. So now what I'd love to do is how, the story stands alone as itself, right? You were in a career, all that. What are the points that you take from this that you probably even help with your clients with? But let's now give this focus to the 20, 30 something gaining their career. How do you help them get to that mindset when the dollar bills, the performance thing, that's what they're looking for? They're in the same mindset you were, and it took this action of not being able to play with your kids and your third child. How do you help them prevent that?
Yeah, I mentioned earlier having a life plan and really knowing what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go and defining success for myself. You have to define success for yourself. And so when I built that life plan, I made some trade-offs as to what I wanted my career to be, but what I also wanted my family's success to be, how I wanted to feel as a person. And I built in there financial goals as well. Now, my perspective was mine. And I can tell you that I made decisions based on that. Like there were some promotions to certain locations that I turned down because they did not meet what I felt would be good for my family. And so my whole belief was, look, if I'm going to get there, I'm going to get there my way, and I'm going to get there in a way that's going to make me have the balance in my life and the well-being that I need. And I think that's the key that all of you need to do is just really sit down with yourself and think about and put on paper, where do you want to be in 20 years? Where do you want to be in 30 years? Not just career. What type of family life do you want to have?
Right.
What financial success do you want to have? Because there's always trade-offs in life. What you don't want to do is get 10 years down the road and realize you didn't have that conversation with yourself, make that contract with yourself, and now you're way off center and it's hard to get back. Whether it's you're in a divorce now because you didn't prioritize your relationship, whether it's you and your kids aren't close anymore and they feel like you weren't there for them, or whether it's you did all that but now your career is not going where you wanted to go at all. So you have to really make those kind of decisions for yourself, and that guides the choices that you make. There's some people that choose. I read a story this morning about there's an AI company where the CEO is basically offering buyouts to anyone who doesn't want to work 80-hour weeks. He's basically telling everyone, if you're going to stay here, you're going to have no life. Now, that's a bad thing that he's doing that, but it's a good thing he's telling people up front.
Expectation.
So now they can make a choice. Yeah, you make a choice. So you just have to think through, what is it that you want? Again, I mentioned earlier, I've met with over 10,000 people, over 100,000 hours. You think about the Malcolm Gladwell, rule for being great at something, the 10,000 hour rule. I've done that 10 times over. I can tell you, of the people that I've met with, I've asked them pretty much all the time, hey, where do you want to be in 20 years? Less than 10% of them can answer that question.
Yeah.
So if you really just took this one piece of advice, if you're sitting out there, you're 30-something, you're early in your career, the number one thing I'll tell you to do, sit down, challenge yourself to think, really, where do you want to be in 20 years? Career, family, financial, community, and then ask yourself, am I happy? Envision, is that what I want? Create what you want, then you can work backwards from there, and then you're able to make informed decisions about your career right now. You might decide, I'm willing to work 80-hour weeks for a year. You might decide that. If that's your call, that's your call.
There's seasons in life, right? There's seasons in life, and you do this for this time. Like, you are not able to be a balanced human when you have a newborn, right?
That's right.
You're going to be off on sleep. So there's times where you have seasons in life that the imbalance, but you have to know, okay, well, here's where my trade-offs are in that scenario. And what you've said dovetails so well into the O of our power up guide in becoming a cohesive leader is own your attributes and values. What are those? That's why we talk about those at the very beginning. But I was very early on confronted with an Alan Watts talk about how do you want to live. So I would even say, in addition to the where do you want to be or what you want to do, I'm saying, how do you want to live? Like, if you have those attributes and values that you want to be, that helps guide you in those areas as well, right? But that's what, because the people, especially when we talk about high schoolers or college, like they're asked, what do you want to do or be? Like, those aren't the right questions because they're filtering that through a role, right?
Yes.
And everything you're talking about is your identity. I'm a family man. I'm this, I'm that. I mean, that's how you want to live.
Yes.
And that's a total different ballgame. Now, if you want to knock it out and try to be the rock star or the firework of doing something crazy with a startup, that's going to require those types of hours.
Absolutely.
But there is a pathway of devastation that you see from a lot of them, right?
Absolutely.
When they gave that 120, 12 kids later, 5 failed relationships, things like that. So totally on point with all of those things. And wow.
And the sad thing is that the media doesn't report those things. So you only hear the great things about what Jeff Bezos is doing, or the great things about what Steve Jobs did, or the great things about all these different highly successful people that had these big startups. But you never hear about the fact that they've had significant issues personally, that they've had issues with their family, that they're you don't hear those things. And so that's why it's important for you to think, and that's a great way to say it. How do you want to live? I talk about where it's how I looked at it. When I'm 65, what do I want to feel about my life when I'm 65? When I look back from 65, do I feel good? What does my family think about me? What do people say about me? And how do I feel about it? Am I proud? Am I happy? I mean, one of the things I can tell you is because I had those conversations with myself, and I wrote that pact to myself. There was a point in my career where I was able to make a decision to stand up for what I believed in what was right, even though I knew it would have a negative impact on my career, my earning potential. And it did. I mean, it cost me at least $5 million. But I made that decision because it was the right thing to do. And my character is with me forever. When I'm on that deathbed, whenever that ends up happening, or when something happens to me and I'm about to, I know this is it. Yeah. I know I lived a life of high character. Yeah. Money can't pay for that. Career can't pay for that. Now, am I happy I had a great career? Yes. Does it give me a lot of flexibility financially? Yes. But when I had to make that call, my character or 5 million or more, I'm choosing my character. But that's me. You have to make those calls for yourself.
I mean, just now recently, like there's all these reports and stories about how horrible it was to work with Steve Jobs. And people are hating, they hate this image that he's done a lot and created things, but he made a lot of people miserable. But somebody's going to say, well, he flipped them and he pushed them and all that, but not if they, because they were entrapped or didn't feel there was another way and they ruined their own careers. Now, again, they make choices that way, but that's the power. Oh, that's the power of leadership, right? You have influence. And some folks may not have it. So that's where we want to have cohesive leaders that teach belonging, value, which is meaningful work. Belonging is inclusivity, and commitment, which is collaboration. And they didn't have that, right? No. They mainly only had meaningful work. What they were doing mattered some way, but they didn't have the rest of it. So
that's right. Man. What I'm very proud of, I'm glad you brought that up, is as I look at people who are following me now, who are commenting on the things that I post, that have given me, if you ever go to my website and look at, I have endorsements on there, you're going to see there's people from all over the world. And so what I'm very proud of is, again, I've led, teams of over 10,000 people in over 30 or over 40 countries. And people, whether it's peers that I work with that were VPs, all the way down to people, like I said, who lived in favelas, who just worked at the plant and were at the lowest end of our economic spectrum. If you look at the people who are reaching out to me and providing me support, it's all of those people across all those spectrums. Why? Because I treated them with respect.
Yep.
I said at the beginning, you could see my emotions on my sleeve. They knew I cared about them.
Yep.
They knew I loved them. They knew that I would do anything I could to help make their life better. And we got better results than anybody else.
Yep. You took the time to connect.
Both. You can care for people and win.
Yep. Well, you embodied connection. You spent time connecting with people. So when you had to pour into their life or ask them to do things, they wanted to because they felt like you cared. That's awesome. Yes. So share with the listeners how they can follow you. I heard you have a book coming out, websites. Share how folks could reach out to you or connect.
Yeah, absolutely. So the book is called Make Your Destiny Happen. And hopefully, as you've listened to me today, I'm authentic. I definitely want to do that for you. I hope that you read this book, reach out to us. You can reach out to me, makeyourdestinyhappen.com. That'll take you to our website. Our company's name is Destiny Development Delta. Website is also destinydevdelta.com. But if you just type in makeyourdestinyhappen.com, you're going to get to our website. You Google my name, Donzel Leggett. You'll find information on me or again, Make Your Destiny Happen. We also are on LinkedIn. We're on Twitter. Well, not Twitter, but LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. We're there as well. I have a podcast called the Make Your Destiny Happen Petite Podcast. It's no more than 6 minutes long. And it's me basically identifying a topic in the book that's a really quick lesson. And then I tell a story to bring it to life. And this first season is all about stories about my dad that I learned from him as a tribute to him. He passed away earlier this year. And so far we've got, I think 3 episodes have been launched. Episode 4 comes out tomorrow. So Make Your Destiny Happen Petite Cop podcast. Again, 5 or 6 minutes, quick little quick lesson for you.
And so those listening, it's Donzel, Donzel Leggett, Leggett. Open to connecting on LinkedIn. And I'm going to end this session with the way that we all end all of our programs. We're saying that you don't have to know everything. You just need to be teachable. Thank you so much.